Tigers, and you see Brad Brownell, the winningest head coach in the history of Clemson basketball. His team has already banked 4 wins against high major teams. Morehead State controls the opening tip. They go to work. Clemson in the home whites.
You're going to see a stifling man-to-man defense by Clemson. One of the best defenses in the country. They put extreme pressure on the basketball and help each other.
And an early whistle away from the ball against Morehead State. You look at the starting lineups for Morehead State. Skylar Potter coming off a big game in Friday's loss to SIUE. 12 points, 14 rebounds. Got Talon Cooper as well. It's homecoming for him. He's a Spartanburg, South Carolina native. Clemson likes to mix up the starting lineup. They've got Chase Hunter in there, along with the freshman Olivier Maxence Prosper. Al-Amir Dawes last Tuesday against Virginia Tech had 18 points, a season high.
For Morehead State, watch the movement off the ball. They have to be able to move the help of Clemson. They are a heavy help team, so you have to get a lot of cutting, a lot of screening, and just player movement and ball movement to create open shots.
The 3 from the outside is good, and Morehead State on the board first. It is Potter. Paul, keys to the game today.
Well, for Morehead State, they have to limit their turnovers. They're averaging 18 a game, and Clemson is forcing 18 a game, so that's not a good combination. Number 2, they have to splash some threes. They opened this one with a 3. That's going to be important to loosen up the defense by the Tigers. For Clemson, guard dribble penetration. Against Virginia Tech in their only loss, I thought Virginia Tech did a great job of getting into the paint and creating points. For Clemson, get some points from specialty areas. Transition from your defense, forcing turnovers, second chance opportunities. Clemson cannot just rely on their half-court sets.
How about Janai Broom, the promising freshman for Morehead State? Paul, you saw him when he was in high school, and he caught your eye.
I saw him in 2019, Anish, in July in Los Angeles at an AAU event, and I said, boy, this guy's got a great pair of hands, a terrific body, and can score in the high-low game. Went up to the coach after the game. He had no offers, just Division II offers. Then Morehead State put on the full-court press. Dominic Lombardi on the Morehead State staff did a great job of evaluating Broom. And then Preston talked about how the staff just goes all in on kids. You know, some schools show interest, and Morehead State, they make guys a priority.
Early lead for the Eagles. That's Potter again, going strong to the rim, and he draws the foul. His head coach, Preston Spradlin, told us this is an ACC-level athlete.
Well, you see Clemson get so tight, and they get under the ball, so sometimes you have to just negate your offense. You can't run offense sometimes against Clemson, but what you can do is get low, get quick, and drive it to the basket. Virginia Tech did a terrific job of paint points and paint touches to pull off the win in their last game.
Aamir Simms picks up the foul, and now we get to see what Clemson's great strength is this year. It's depth and a wholesale line change for Brad Brownell.
I didn't know they had hockey at South Carolina. A little line change there.
Morehead State on the season has struggled from the free throw line, only 67%. Nick Honor is into the game for Clemson, the Fordham transfer, along with Johnny Newman, who had a promising sophomore year last year. Into the corner, the 3 is good by Jonathan Baer, who missed almost 2 entire seasons. Almost all of last year with a torn ACL, had to sit out because of transfer rules in 2019.
Came in from UNC Asheville, a very good shot blocker. 1 in the white.
Baer the rebound, he'll push. Good ball movement here by Clemson.
They run a lot of movement, set plays with motion concepts. The freshman, P.J. Hall.
A lot to like there, Paul. What do you like the most about P.J. Hall?
He's got the whole package as a low post player, and then you see the high post game, the jump shot, terrific IQ, a good passer. And he's going to be a star in the ACC in time. He was a former ESPN top 100 prospect. Big recruit for Brad Brownell and his staff. In-state, post talent. You don't find those all around the country.
Honor the hustle up ahead to Newman. 1-on-3, blocked at the rim. James Baker. And then Honor hustling at the other end to knock it away from Broome. Clemson flashing its trademark defense early. They've got a 1-point lead. Stay. Moments ago before we went to break, Janai Broome, the talented 6'10 freshman out of Florida who has been Morehead State's best player, looked like he may have hurt that right leg going up here. Take another look. Honor knocks it away. That right leg, a little bit of an awkward lift, and Broome was seen holding it after the play.
He grabbed it right away as soon as that ankle and knee buckled. It's great to see him walking it off.
He is the team's leading scorer and rebounder, a lefty, and this was a team that lost their best player and best post player, Tyjon Claude, a 6'8 sophomore, to a torn ACL before the season. Broome was not expected to have this kind of role. He's been a pleasant surprise for this team.
A promising post player. Size, skill, and look at his body. It's tight and toned right now. A lot of freshmen don't come into the game really in top physical condition. You see Broome in great shape. Nice stroke lefty. Makes his free throws. He's going to get that knee checked out for a second. He's got a really quiet demeanor. Not loud, but he gets the job done on the court, and he is terrific on the glass.
Already a couple of 2010 games under his belt. Light pressure now by Morehead State.
That pressure is just to eat into the shot clock. It was a 2-2-1 back to a zone. Morehead State wants to take as much time as they can off the clock.
Less than 10 to shoot. Long three by Hemingway, no. And the rebound to KJ Hunt, the McNeese State transfer. Here's Potter. Looking for help.
Great help by P.J. Hall. That's what Clemson's all about. They move on the dribble. They move on the airtime of the pass. You move the basketball, they move their bodies. The help side defense by P.J. Hall just shutting it down, not allowing penetration. So if you get beat on top, you're going to see another defender for Clemson on the backside, and they help the helper so well.
Hemingway lost it near midcourt. We have a tie-up, a jump ball, possession arrow Clemson.
They're bringing their energy early to this game. Loose ball, who wants it? Dabo Sweeney's watching.
Noon game on a Monday, no fans, right? BYOG, bring your own guts, bring your own energy. Long three by Newman. Out of bounds to Morehead State. How about Dabo making a few headlines this morning, huh? His coaches poll released. He had Ohio State at number 11.
I think a lot of the coaches weren't happy with the amount of games played by the Buckeyes. But let's not talk about who's in anymore. Let's talk about who's going to win. That's the topic of conversation right now. We know who's in.
If you ask me, I think we're set for Alabama Clemson 5. Inevitable, like Thanos. Offensive foul.
Clemson just moves their body so well. And they don't look to block shots, they look to take charges. You see the drive comes over. 4 Clemson players are guarding the ball at that moment. And one steps in to take the charge. This is a heavy help team. They put extreme pressure on the ball. They contest shots, and they are well connected. They have their depth. They play 11 guys. And depth is important if depth can play. On the defensive end, Clemson is well drilled. Morehead State wants them to beat them over the top. They go high-low.
Bear to the freshman, P.J. Hall. South Carolina Player of the Year coming out of high school.
And that was a clinic on how to attack a zone. Get it to the middle, then look to the short corner or to the rim.
Newman getting into the passing lane.
Which Clemson goes to the wing, to the middle, right to the short corner. Ball never touches the ground. Excellent attack by the Tigers. And once you get it to the middle, you have the opportunity to kick it to the wings or go to the rim. The middle destroys the zone. You can hear the Clemson bench, stay down.
Not much you can't hear these days. New shot clock off the offensive rebound.
Some
and
things
the
you don't
three
want
is
to
not
hear.
there. Yeah. Hemingway for three. Back iron.
Clemson does a great job of sitting in their stance, sliding their feet, and then they stay in their stance. You never see Clemson standing up on defense. That's what makes them so hard to play against.
L.J. Bryan shuffled his feet, and that's a few times now we've seen P.J. Hall really do a nice job defensively in the post.
And most young bigs get in foul trouble early. They leave their feet. They bring their hands down. P.J. Hall, well drilled in the game from Dorman High School where he won a state championship. If he can stay out of foul trouble as he grows, he is a terrific high post shooter and passer. And he's got all the Kevin McHale moves inside. The shot fakes, the jump hooks, the up and unders. I'm telling you, he'll be all ACC by the time he's a junior.
Three-pointer from straight away, Al-Amir Dawes. Brad Brownell told us as this season progresses, he'd like to play both P.J. Hall and Aamir Simms together. Nice move down low. It's Potter again, the Wright State transfer.
I think he's going to have to play Hall and Simms together, especially when they go against the bigger teams in the ACC. NC State with great size with Funderburk and Bates. We know about North Carolina. You need somebody in the middle to bang and to rebound with the better teams in the ACC. And Simms can't do it alone.
Three-pointer by Chase Hunter, no good. Good sign for Morehead State. Broom back in there. Working in the post against Prosper. And drawing the foul is Davon Cooper, the redshirt junior.
Clemson attacking the zone. The senior, Jonathan Baer, to the freshman, P.J. Hall. It's a factor on the defensive end, and that's why Clemson is so difficult to play against. They come at you with so many bodies, and even though they substitute, it's a tight, connected unit defensively. There are times you could play too many guys, and then on the offensive end, you can suffer, because offense is more about rhythm and timing and cohesiveness. So you have to keep an eye on your substitution pattern to see where you're helping your team and where you may be hurting your team.
Brownell told us the added depth really helps in practice. It's increased the competitiveness in those sessions. And he said there's been years where we haven't had a lot of depth, and it's impacted us in practice. It's impacted us when we've had guys go in and out of the lineup. This way you're challenged every day, and they've been healthy this year. They've been COVID-free. I think depth this year in college basketball is going to be more important than ever.
It really is.
Simms. Potter's three rims out. New Year's Eve, we'll have an afternoon women's basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC network. It's Notre Dame, Miami at 1, and then second-ranked Louisville taking on Duke at 3. Nice way to spend your New Year's Eve. Got a little Clemson football later in the day, too. Out of bounds off Simms.
And that's the thing about depth. We talked about it. When you have too many guys coming in and out, sometimes your offensive rhythm, your offensive cohesiveness isn't quite the same. And depth is good if depth can play. It really is. I mean, I think
otherwise
it's overrated.
It's just guys, right?
I think it's overrated, but I think this year there's a point to having guys ready to play because other guys, because of injuries or because of COVID, won't be able to play. But every coach has a different philosophy, and that's what makes it really fun to watch.
Clyde trap. And the foul, it appears, before the shot.
This young man has battled some injuries. Now he's back, strong, 6'4" guard. Nice little shot fade, comes right into the paint.
It
Clemson,
is a shooting
you don't want to
foul.
settle. Yeah, you don't want to settle for the three when you got the driving line. Trap brings a defensive presence on the ball. He's a good cutter. And Brad likes to put him in the post at times because he can really score with his size.
He and Johnny Newman have been sort of interchangeable this year. Trap last year showed he was a fast healer. Tore his ACL in June, able to return in December. Still wasn't quite himself, although did have a nice moment with the game winner against Syracuse last year in the final seconds.
I know that was hard for you to say.
No. Aamir Simms, is that going to be an offensive foul? No, blocking foul on Morehead State. Simms almost picked up his second.
And that's where Aamir Simms has to be mindful and thoughtful. You know, he's really out of control. He's lucky he got that call against him. I'm for him, I'm sorry, but that could have went against him easily. And then Brad Brownell has a decision. Do I sit him or do I keep him in the game? 10 minutes to go in a close game. You need Aamir Simms in the game as much as possible.
Foul trouble has been an issue for Simms this year. Trap for three. Doesn't go. Rebound Morehead State. Here comes Hunt. Talon Cooper now, the Spartanburg, South Carolina native. About an hour from Clemson. This game was originally scheduled for tomorrow, but when South Carolina Clemson was postponed over the weekend, both teams agreed to move the game up. It got the players a little extra time off for the holidays to go see their families as we get another foul. And you know, we've talked to a number of coaches about that in this age of COVID, and especially with things really getting out of control these last couple of months. You know, do you send kids home to see their families? And Brad Brownell said, listen, I think you have to, because they've been on campus, a lot of them since July. They're homesick. I think we sometimes forget about the mental toll this pandemic and this quarantine has taken, not just on all of us, but student athletes especially. And Brad Brownell and a number of coaches felt, hey, it's important for these kids to be with their families. We'll get them tested when they come back. We'll deal with whatever happens then. But it's going to be a good mental break for these kids just to decompress a little bit.
Well, the kids have been on campus, some since June, some since July. And we talk about seeing their families. That is very important. But I'll tell you what else is important. Getting a break from the coaching staff. You've been with the coaches for the last 6 months. The players won't say it, but they just want to get a little break. Because you hear the same voice day after day. You're with the same people. Even when you travel, and when you travel, you're more confined than you are at home. And the players need a break from the coaches. And I'm going to guess and say this, the coaches need a little break from the players.
A nifty move there by Talon Cooper. Clemson has missed its last 6. 2-point game.
It's an
coming up on 8.5 to play.
Very active zone. And they spread out. They're letting the ball go to the ACC logo. And then they converge. Look at the hands. They're out, they're up. It's hard to play against the zone when a zone plays active.
So what's the best way to attack this?
You want to gap it with some penetration. You absolutely want to ball fake it and shot fake it. And you have to screen a zone. You can't just have ball movement and player movement. You need to screen the zone so you can have an advantage of 4-on-3 or 5-on-4.
You brought up dribble penetration. Who on Clemson's roster gives them that dynamic to beat their man one-on-one off the dribble?
Well, I don't know about beating your man, but the ability for one to play two. Two to play one, so you want to gap the zone. I think Dawes can do that very well. I think Trapp can drive it and pick up his dribble and move it. That's what you want to do. And see, they trapped P.J. Hall that time.
Shot clock at 3. Newman lets it fly. And we get a foul underneath. It appears to be on Hall.
Yeah, freshman got trapped. Tried to wedge him out, did a nice job. And that time he just, a little too much physicality for the freshman, who's still picking up the speed of the game, the physicality of the game. When you go from high school to college, you get away with a lot of things in high school that you can't get away with in college. And you get hit a lot more and calls don't happen in your favor. You have to learn how to play through the physicality, and Hall is doing it.
Marcus Garrett, number 10, into the game for Morehead State. Entry pass down low. Broom with great position and blocked by Bear.
Bear came from the weak side.
Nick Honor. And the Fordham transfer will head to the line. Clemson only 2 free throw attempts, shooting 28% in this first half and nursing a slim 2-point lead. And Florida Gulf Coast knocking off Miami. That was a short-handed Miami team. Morehead State battle-tested already, Paul. They've played Kentucky. They've played Richmond. They've played Ohio State. In fact, this will be the Eagles' 4th game against a team that was ranked in the top 25 at the time.
When you go on the road now as the mid-major, you don't have to deal with the home crowd. You don't have to deal with the fan base yelling at you. You can concentrate on your game. How about the execution out of the timeout by Morehead State? That was beautiful into the post to Broom. It's such a different game without the fans, and it really helps the mid-majors who are a little bit older, the underdog. They can shoot it well. It's really a level playing field.
Chance to take the lead here. Hunt on the drive, leaves it for Bryan, and Morehead State are with a 2-point lead as we close in on 6.5 to play in this first half. Timeout Brad Brownell. A little 6-0 run by Morehead State. Clemson has missed it with Paul Biancardi and Ish Shroff. L.J. Bryan, the last 2 baskets for Morehead State. And he's given the Eagles the lead.
KJ Hunt off the dribble, attacks the big, draws all kinds of help defenders. And L.J. Bryan just waiting there to finish the play. And that's where Clemson has to get a little bit better. When they get up on the ball, they have to continue to move their feet and not allow that dribble penetration.
Aamir Simms out of the double team. It comes to Dawes. Hemingway, a sharpshooter, knocks down the 3 to end a scoring drought of almost 4 minutes for Clemson.
Well, this guy can really light it up from the outside. 42% behind the arc.
48% last year, but limited due to a high ankle sprain. Anthony Goins, the Clemson assistant coach in his second season. We'll hear from him at halftime. Certainly, racial and social justice has been at the forefront of the conversation here in 2020, and Goins shares some of his experiences while growing up in Greensboro, North Carolina, and how he's using his platform these days. Simms jostling for position down low. They're looking for him, and a foul in the post. It's on
Morehead.
Cooper, his first.
Yeah, Morehead State right in this game because they've settled down in the turnover department. They had 5 early turnovers in this game. Only 2 in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Getting better looks, dribble penetration. They need to make some stops.
This time it's Simms who turns it over. Aamir Simms, only 2 points so far. That was his 3rd turnover.
They're really attacking Aamir Simms. Every time he touches the ball, there's one on him and one coming to double. And they're trying to speed him up. The possession before in the zone, he got it in the middle. They all converged and stripped him. He's got to keep that ball over his head and under control.
Potter tried to throw it inside. It's knocked away. Hemingway hit the deck, and we get a foul. Christmas morning, join Packer and Durham for their holiday hangout. A look back at an unforgettable year and a look ahead at what we all hope is a much, much better 2021. It's 8 a.m. to noon Eastern. And by the way, tomorrow on Packer and Durham at 9 a.m., they will announce the all-ACC football teams live. So that is tomorrow on Packer and Durham. We get to find out who is on the all-ACC team, and that announcement will come live on Packer and Durham.
Two guys going for the ball. Somebody has to get a foul on that play. Looked like the Morehead State player just bumped him a little too hard. Sam Howell on that list, Anish?
I'm sure he will be. I don't think he'll be first-team quarterback. I think number 16 at Clemson's got dibs on that.
No question.
Ian Book is probably second team. I would imagine Sam Howell third team all-ACC quarterback. But the big reveal will be tomorrow, 9 a.m. on Packer and Durham.
Simms shows you his versatility, not just on the offensive end, but defensively as well. Play the 4, he can play the 5. He'll battle inside, he'll front the post. Even though he has foul trouble at times, you know, he doesn't stop playing defense. And you can't for Brad Brownell. It's the calling card of this program.
Brownell told us maturity and his mind. Aamir Simms, 2 greatest strengths. That 3 doesn't go with the shot clock winding down. Offensive rebound, and now a turnover. Hemingway's got 5. Simms again calling for it against Broom. There's the double. He's such a good passer. Gets it out to Trapp.
He's got great passing vision, Aamir Simms.
Al-Amir Dawes to Bear, and that circles home.
And that's the breakdown the Tigers need off the bounce. To create help, find bigs at the rim. Sometimes you just have to score from a broken play, and that's part of the specialty points I mentioned in the open.
Contested 3 not there. Clemson looking to add to a 7-0 run. Al-Amir Dawes. It's 10 unanswered for the Tigers. And a timeout by Preston Spradlin. So Morehead State, Paul, took the lead. Clemson responds.
Dawes with the penetration. Bear with the finish. That was beautiful.
On this Monday afternoon, Christmas week, Clemson up by 8 thanks to a 10-0 run. What's been behind this spurt?
It's been bench points. Aamir Simms Right now, just with 2 points, but Hemingway with 5, Dawes with 6, Jonathan Bear with 5. In their first 5 wins, Clemson had 25 points per game off the bench. So when this unit comes in for Clemson, when they have other guys come in off the bench and they can score, that really makes the Tigers hard to guard, because they're going to be good defensively. They're going to be consistent defensively. But when other guys besides Simms can score the ball, it really makes this team difficult to play against.
The one game Clemson did not get much bench production, just 8 points against Virginia Tech. The Tigers' lone loss. 11 turnovers now for Morehead State. That has been a problem all season long. And you mentioned it earlier, Paul, that's what Clemson does. They turn you over.
And they don't press very often. They press about 20–25% of the time, but they pressure the ball so hard they deny it. They fall into steals because they're in great position. And they just make you uncomfortable on the offensive end, to the point where you turn the basketball over by simply passing and catching.
Janai Broom just picked up his second foul. That's big for Morehead.
See Simms working the glass. Broom with a little shove from behind with the body. It's the freshman against the senior. He's got a lot to learn by playing against Aamir Simms. And that's where P.J. Hall gets better in practice every day, the freshman. 6'9", 225. He goes against Aamir Simms in practice. That's how you become a better player in the future, by playing guys better than you and playing against guys that are older than you.
The Greenhorns need to take a little punishment from the veterans. Trap the steal and the stuff.
I can't state it enough. This Clemson defense is super aggressive, and they do a good job of being aggressive and not committing foolish fouls.
Except there.
Except there on the wing. It's just hard ball pressure by Trapp. He's strong, he's physical. He's a senior, and he knows what bothers offensive players.
That was the 6th team foul on Clemson, first on Trapp. Tigers on a 14-0 run.
So if you're Morehead State, be tighter with the ball, short passes, make yourself available, and keep the ball moving.
And an offensive foul against Julius Dixon, his 3rd.
Now, I mentioned you got to try to drive Clemson every now and then when they get up on you, but once you do, understand there's going to be help waiting. You got to play off of 2 feet. That's a jump stop and a kick out and play on versus a turnover.
Seven turnovers in the last 5 minutes for the Eagles. Aamir Simms, the running hook, no. Bear recovered, and he draws the foul.
Clemson attacking the offensive glass against the zone. Jonathan Beer very active along the baseline. Anytime a team plays a zone, they have block-out responsibilities, and it's a little bit more difficult than man-to-man because you're covering an area versus a person. Communication is huge. And if you don't block out against the zone, you're going to give up a lot of second-chance points.
Al-Amir Dawes back into the game. 15 unanswered for Clemson after Morehead State briefly took a 16-14 lead. Davon Cooper on the drive, and Morehead State now in the bonus.
You see how Clemson takes away passing lanes. They're so tough on the ball, you have to set really hard screens to create some space. There are possessions you just have to gap that defense and get into the paint. Make sure you play off for 2 feet. You can live at the foul line against Clemson. Virginia Tech did so. They went to the line 31 times at home and made 25. How about Mike Young's team? They always overachieve. Every time you think they're not going to be that good, they end up winning a lot of games. That is a well-coached team, the Hokies.
Did Virginia Tech give the ACC the blueprint on how to attack Clemson's defense?
Well, I don't know if it's a blueprint, but they were fabulous at driving the basketball. They understood that's what was needed, because you can't just pass, catch, screen, and cut, because Clemson will take it away. Chester Frazier had the scout for Virginia Tech, and he really was well prepared for Clemson's defense, and he got his team ready.
Extended possession now. 10 to shoot. Prosper. Trap lost it. Recovers. Running floater not there. Rebounded by Cooper. Talon Cooper.
Boy.
Look at the defense by Clemson.
I tell you what, they front the post a lot, which really makes it hard to get out of the corner with the basketball. There's no options.
That time Bryan got good position, goes down.
Watch the defense by Clemson. Prosper comes over to help Simms just a second late, the freshman out of Canada. I think this guy's going to be terrific in time. Super athletic, long, with very good ball skills.
1-1 for L.J. Bryan. They call him Omax, Olivier Maxence Prosper.
In 2019, he played at the Basketball Without Borders in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is an instructional camp by the NBA and FIBA. Terrific pickup by the Tigers.
Al-Amir Dawes. The bank is open on a Monday morning.
Was that the bank or the ATM? I'm not sure it was planned that way. I think Al-Amir Dawes is a guy who can really help Clemson in the scoring department. Him and Simms can be the 1-2 punch. They just need a third option to really help them from the outside. I think Nick Honor can be that guy.
A rebound comes to Newman. And that doesn't go. This is Clemson's 7th game. It's the 4th time they've held an opponent to fewer than 20 points in the first half. Tigers
up at 14, and then to shoot the ball from 3, just splash, an occasional 3-point shot. They've struggled in that department. But they did settle down in the midway through the first half to get back into the game, as you mentioned, to get a 2-point lead. They're going to stay in zone. They're going to make Clemson continue to attack that zone. They cannot cover Clemson man-to-man. And they got to get some points. They've got to create some open looks, but they have to be really good at passing and catching.
Janai Broome, the freshman, Morehead State's leading scorer and rebounder. And he can't connect. Only 3 points in the first half for Broome.
And Aamir Simms made it really difficult for Broome to even see the rim on that possession.
Bear in the high post. Simms now. Over Broome. Yeah, that's the veteran punishing the greenhorn.
Well, everybody was watching Jonathan Beer shoot it, and Aamir Simms picked it up. And that was like practice. That was easy. I mean, he found the ball. Morehead State, you can't watch the ball when somebody shoots it. You got to find a body and block out. That's a big hole in a lot of zone defense.
Bear just picked up the foul, and there's Davon Cooper. We've got Talon Cooper, 55, Davon Cooper, number 1. No relation.
But I like
that is the first field goal, Paul, in more than 7 minutes for Morehead State.
And they know there's gaps. They just have to beat the help side defense. And if the defense comes, then you jump stop and kick out. I'd like to see Morehead State with more dribble penetration in the second half.
Julius Dixon just picked up his 4th foul. So in comes James Baker, the senior, the most experienced player on this Eagles roster. How do you want to attack the zone?
Right there. Right there, baby. It was just a quick gap dribble by Chase Hunter. It's all you have to do. Chase Hunter comes in. As soon as you gap dribble, defenders come at you. The low guys come high, the weak side guys come over, and you just find the open man. It sounds
Baker's
simple,
second foul.
but it's difficult to do against an active zone.
Paul, Chase Hunter seems like one of those guys that has the ability to do what you talked about earlier in the first half, take guys off the dribble, an element that Clemson needs a little more of.
They do. They need that mixture. They have guys that love to catch and shoot. In fact, 40% of their shots per synergy are catch and shoot shots. They have to get to the free throw line a little bit more, and they have to just drive people a little bit harder.
Good position by Broom. He kicks it out. Potter hits the three. Skylar Potter's got 9 to lead the Eagles.
What a pass by the freshman. Just the basketball IQ to understand he couldn't score and to find his open man in the corner. Outstanding.
There's Hunter off the dribble drive, and the follow is good by Aamir Simms.
These are the specialty points that Clemson needs to get. Even though they've shot it well in the first half, they were 5 for 13 from 3. They're not a potent offensive team. They need to manufacture points in other ways.
Trap rebounds the missed 3 by Talon Cooper. Bear with his size advantage, now the double. Out to Dawes. His 4th 3. He's got a dozen, and Clemson with its largest lead of the game. Timeout, Morehead State. Little inside outside by the Eagles, but right now Morehead State getting turned inside out by Clemson, and this Tigers D has done it from the outside, 4 of 6 from 3-point range.
Well, Bear recognizes the double. Chase Hunter cuts through the zone. Al-Amir Dawes just hanging out on the weak side, wide open. Anytime there's a double team, you want to get rid of the ball. You have an advantage, 5 against 4. Clemson with some nice cutting to occupy the middle, and Dawes 4 for 6 this afternoon. He's been feeling it, and he's been unafraid to take it.
What does Morehead State have to do to solve this defense in the half court?
Just what we saw. Again, the penetration has to happen. The reason being is you can't run your passing, cutting, and screening offense. Clemson's going to take it away. So the closer they get up on the ball, the lower you have to get. You have to put it on the deck, try to get the bump. But more than anything, you want to try to force help and then get rid of the ball quickly. Any kind of ball screens, Clemson is hedging hard and blitzing at times. They're a tough team to run offense against.
Davon Cooper, redshirt junior out of Louisville at the free throw line. Limited last year to just 5 games, took a medical redshirt, but did start 33 games the previous season. Averaged almost 9 a game, shot it well from beyond the arc as well.
When I watch Clemson on defense, they remind me a little bit of that Texas Tech team that went to the Final Four. I mean, they're 4th in the nation in scoring defense at 54 a game. They're #1 in the ACC. They just don't give you anything easy anywhere.
And a foul against Morehead State. Aamir Simms has been a lot more active on both ends of the floor here in the second half.
Well, Aamir Simms has done a really nice job of going to get the ball off the glass. Just 4 points at halftime. And Clemson's putting him underneath against the zone, and that's a great spot for the high-low. It's a wonderful spot to get offensive rebounds and dump-offs.
Off the feed from Dawes. Simms has a dozen, 8 of them here in the second half. Cooper's path cut off by Simms. It comes back out. The 3 way off by Baker.
And Clemson just wears you down. It's not that full court trapping style that they're always on you. But once you get over half court, you better be aware of where they are, because they are on you and they're ready to help against you.
Hunt into the corner, and the 3 falls.
And Aamir Simms that time didn't get a hand up one time. Morehead State knocks it down.
A dozen for Skylar Potter, a Wright State transfer. He's the best athlete on this team.
He had a double-double against his last game against SIU Edwards.
12 points, 14 rebounds. Dawes misfires, now 4 of 7 from deep. Open 3 by Cooper. That doesn't go. He's their best shooter. Out of bounds. Who does it belong to? It stays with the Eagles.
It's face-up game, a low-post game. When he's not involved in the offense, he gets himself involved by attacking the offensive basket. Terrific at dump-offs and finishes. He's a really good passer. Doesn't have any assist in this game, but he moves the ball and he helps the Tigers run their offense. They play through him at the elbows and the high post, and at times in the low post. He can move the ball. He understands the game.
Stolen away by John Newman. They're still waiting for Newman to get going this year as a junior. Off to a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, he needs to be just a little bit better offensively. He's a very good defender and rebounder. They're hoping his jump shot will come around.
Nick Honor, no. And Trapp went over the back. His 3rd foul.
Skylar Potter, big time block out.
New Year's Eve, a women's basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC network. We start in Miami, Notre Dame and the Canes, and then it's number 2 Louisville against Duke. The Blue Devils coached now by our good friend Kara Lawson.
Picking up all kinds of tidbits from Kara on social media about leadership and motivation. She is teaching those young girls more than basketball.
Correction, 2nd foul on Trapp. 3rd team foul on Clemson. KJ Hunt gets it to Baker. Working on Honor, size advantage there. Into the corner, Skylar Potter, too strong. Shot clock does not reset. Hunt beats the shot clock and gets the roll.
Excellent patience by Morehead State. Not to panic when the shot clock was at 5 on the offensive rebound. Again, dribble penetration by Morehead State pays off.
Open 3 by Nick Honor. Yes, the Fordham transfer on the A-10 All-Rookie team a couple of years ago. They were really hoping that he would have been eligible last season, and with all the injuries Clemson had, it would have helped.
Now, he is a 3-point shooter. Right now, only 35%, but this is a guy who could be the X factor offensively for Clemson. He can really light it up. His light is always green.
Averaged 15 a game for the Rams a couple of years ago. Hunt beats the shot clock and gets it to go. Just how they drew it up.
KJ Hunt.
Honor open and hits.
I'm telling you, this guy will shoot it all game long if you let him. That's why he's here. Nick Honor, always ready to shoot it. His feet are behind the line. Over 60% of his shots behind the arc.
He had a big game in the win against Purdue. 4 of 7 from deep, 17 points. Ran the scout team for Clemson last year. Clemson took the timeout, up by 16. We have seen Brad Brownell unleash his depth, not just today, but all season. They'll play 10, 11 guys. Hunter Tyson currently is injured, out indefinitely after a facial injury. 3 freshmen brought in to complement a pretty good stable of returning veterans. And Paul, the 3 freshmen addressed a need, size in the front court. And you look at the way Clemson is building this team. They've got depth. Now they're starting to add size. I tell you what, that's a blueprint that has worked really well for Florida State in the ACC. Depth and size.
When you play against Florida State enough, you realize that you need some size to play against them. The recruiting class for Brad Brownell this year was terrific. The freshmen, P.J. Hall, Warren Lynn Kidd, and Omax. Size, skill, length, bodies that can put on weight, can bang, score, and rebound in the ACC. But you need that outside shooting, and I think Nick Honor can really open things up for Aamir Simms. And we see Al-Amir Dawes today shooting it deep from the outside.
They're going to look at the video to see if Cooper beat the shot clock. To your point on recruiting, Paul, the last couple of years we're seeing freshmen making an impact a little sooner for Clemson. Al-Amir Dawes last year, you really like, as you mentioned, P.J. Hall and Prosper. Hold that thought. We'll come back with that. Has Clemson shifted its philosophy in terms of how they build their team? Transfers versus freshmen. Cooper did not beat the shot clock. The ball still in his hands when that clock hit 0, so shot clock violation. And Shroff, Paul Biancardi, and Paul, to get back to what we were talking about before the timeout. Clemson, before the transfer portal really became what it is now, did a really good job finding talent there. Marquise Reed, Shelton Mitchell, Elijah Thomas, Tevin Mack. Have they shifted their philosophy in the last couple of years where, yes, they'll still use the transfer portal more, but spending more time in trying to get some of these higher-end freshmen?
I think it's a combination of both. I think Brad Brownell understands another 3 by Nick Honor, that you just can't do it with freshmen. It takes a little longer than people are willing to wait. Sort of bringing that transfer, that grad transfer that can really help right away, physically, experience-wise. You need those in today's day and age. And starting next year, transfers are going to be able to play immediately. They'll have a one-time transfer where they can play. And I think we're going to see a lot of people moving and shaking on the rosters.
Movers and shakers there. Honor with a sweet feed. It's a Clyde trap. Largest lead for Clemson. It's 21. What's that going to be like next year? Is it going to be the Wild West in college basketball with transfers?
I think it's going to get a little bit out of control to start, and then it will settle down over time. But, guys are going to be looking to leave. They do have a date of, I believe it's May 1st, where guys have to declare before then. So at least there's a time period involved where guys can't leave a week before school and think they're going to play right away. Good hands by Nick Honor. See the ball screen defense? I mean, 2 are on the ball for a second, and then they go back to their man. But those traps are hard. Those hedges are there to take the ball out of the hands of the offensive player. Look at 3 on the ball right now, and they don't foul. They do a really good job of creating a shield between them and the defender. The offensive player, excuse me.
Prosper can't finish.
And Clemson is turning people over 18.5 per game. That's top 35 in the country.
Paul, we're also in a climate now where you got kids who can't take official visits, so they're committing to schools in some cases without ever having set foot on campus. In your eyes, does that make the transfer market even more robust, with kids potentially getting to school and saying, yeah, you know what, this isn't the place for me, I should have visited, I wish I could have visited?
Well, some guys have never visited the schools or have even met the coaches where they've made decisions. Some have visited as underclassmen, maybe been to a football game or been to a practice. it's a little bit more comfortable to make a decision if you've been there somewhere in the past. But a lot of virtual COVID commitments, I call them. And you're going to get into the day-to-day operations next year. When things don't go well, you may have some second thoughts about leaving. A little bit quicker than if you had a face-to-face relationship prior to the commitment.
I've heard the other side of it too, where some coaches say official visits now are so planned out, and you've got the graphics department with the social media, and everybody's got the jersey shot, and you know, you've got the different people hosting you, and you take them to place A, to place B, to place X, to place Y, where in some ways recruiting in this climate, you are building that personal relationship. And yes, it's Zoom calls and virtual tours, but in some ways I've heard from coaches, in football especially, where they're saying you feel a deeper connection to the kid, and they've heard the same feedback. The kid feels a deeper connection to the coaching staff because everything now is being based almost exclusively on this personal relationship.
Well, coaches and players have had more of an opportunity to know each other because of Zoom, and that's been a big difference versus the other way of recruiting when there was no computers, Zoom time. There was some FaceTime, but nothing replaces good old-fashioned face-to-face time. You see the body language, the mannerisms. I think we're going to see some extra transfers. Another shot by Nick Honor.
Man.
I mean, you can virtual recruit, and it can sound good, Anish, but when things go bad, you go back to the relationship. And what are relationships based on? Trust. And how do you form trust? Spending time together. That's how you get your belief in and buy-in. So I don't buy into virtual recruiting. I understand it, but there's nothing like getting face-to-face with parents and players and coaches.
First basket for Morehead in more than 4.5 minutes. It ends in an 11-0 Clemson run. Think back, Paul, to this time last year. Nobody knew what Zoom was.
Thought it was a song, wasn't it? Zoom, zoom, zoom. Zoom.
It was a car commercial, right?
You know, that old-fashioned recruiting goes both ways. You know, the coaches go on campus and the players get on campus. Nick Honor with the three and Aamir Simms with the no resistance inside for the jump hook. But my point was, Anish, that, you know, coaches get to evaluate live. That's been taken away too. Coaches are evaluating based on games on the computer. I love it when the coaches get a chance to go into the homes of the players and go to the school of the players. And vice versa, the players and the parents get to go on campus. Nothing will ever take the place of that.
Davon Cooper.
And Prosper a little quick that time. A lot of freshmen go way too fast. They're hyped up to play. They're trying to bring the energy, but the problem is their mind goes so fast. They get a lot of quick turnovers, and they get a lot of plays where they're out of position because they're thinking so fast. The game has to slow down for the freshmen, and they have to understand how to absorb the physicality of the game. A lot of bumping and grinding with no fouls called.
Hey, Paul, to your point about evaluating players on just film, I mean, you are our guy when it comes to ranking these high school players. What's the biggest difference being there in person versus evaluating on film?
When you evaluate on film, it's almost impossible to understand the athletic ability, speed, quickness, height, wingspan. I mean, people can tell you how big somebody is, but until you see them live, it's a big difference. It's kind of like watching Florida State on film, and then you go to their game live, and you're like, oh my goodness, they're so long, they're so athletic, they're so big. Hard to gauge athleticism off of film. You can gauge IQ and skill, but you miss out, again, the interaction between the coaches and players because the film only shows you so much. It's a great supporting tool, Anish, but again, like recruiting, nothing like being there live. Right there to Clyde Trapp. Nick Honor can stretch out a defense. He creates driving lines for his teammates, and I think he really opens the floor for Aamir Simms.
Skylar Potter on the drive, lost it. Talon Cooper's three is good.
Morehead State just has to stay aggressive defensively. You can't play the score at this game. You can't look up and see the number. You have to continue to play your concepts and play your scouting report.
Grazing the front rim, Olivier Maxence Prosper, the freshman. 7 minutes to go. Clemson with a 19-point lead. They've led by as many as 21. And a foul along the sideline. Tonight, after Longwood and Virginia Tech, the All-ACC team with a complete breakdown of the night's games with coach and player interviews. It's 10 Eastern right here on ACC Network. Christmas week, holiday season, getting close to the end of this nightmarish 2020 calendar year.
Close to a new beginning.
I hope so. Aamir Simms with his second foul.
Yeah, you can't just barrel through a screen. Simms knows that. Anytime you get hit with a screen, first thought is you got to avoid it.
There's Janai Broom taking it right at Simms. And the freshman earns a trip to the line.
And I really like this young man, Broom. When I saw him play AAU basketball, I said, good strength, good skill, packaged up in a 6'9" frame. And those lefties inside, they can create some fouls. He's got pretty good footwork at his size, at his age. And a promising post player in the Ohio Valley Conference.
When he reaches his potential, he's going to be a load to handle in that league.
You surround him with some shooters, and he'll be able to score one-on-one in the post. He has that ability. Right now, he's still learning the game with his back to the basket. But
in his collegiate debut, he scored 11 points, 5 of 6 against Kentucky. I know Kentucky's down, but still.
Yeah, that's their only win right now, right, against Morehead State. Now, this team is picked for 9th in the OVC, Morehead State.
Nick Honor. He's got 14, a chance to make it 15 now.
Nick Honor is feeling it. And so what do? Morehead State, they're closing out hard. They're coming out hard. The transfer from Fordham recognizes it, puts it on the deck. Nice finish. When you were the point guard of the scout team last year, you're just dying to get into games this year. Great denial by Simms. Still playing defense out at the three-point line. I think that's where his versatility really starts to shine through. He can get out behind the arc. May not be able to cover shooters, but he can deny passes.
Four fouls now on Aamir Simms. The last 3 have come in a very short period of time. Illegal screen.
I'm not sure that was so illegal. I mean, maybe because he turned his body, but when you do a dribble handoff, you dribble right at the defender. You just pivot. But replacements are on the bench for Clemson. P.J. Hall, the freshman, will welcome this playing time.
By the way, the new AP poll is out. Clemson has dropped out of the top 25. Not a single ACC team in the top 15 as the Eagles connect from the outside. That tells you, Paul, that this regular season in the Atlantic Coast Conference without crowds and home field advantage at places like the Yum Center and Cameron Indoor and the Dean Dome and the Carrier Dome, that's going to be nullified. It's going to be a wild ride once the regular season starts in the ACC.
Yeah, it's a wide open race this year. Even before COVID, it would have been wide open. The ACC lost 8 guys to the NBA last year. And when you think about the rosters, not a lot of NBA star power on this year's roster. A lot of good players. A lot of good returning players. You have Justin Champagny, Isaiah Wong. You got Aamir Simms, DJ Funderburk at NC State. A lot of good teams. You got Sam Hauser at Virginia. So they're going to, I think Virginia, North Carolina, Duke, Florida State may be the top of that list for the top 4 in the ACC. 5 is wide open.
Virginia in the latest poll, the highest ranked ACC team at number 16. North Carolina follows at 17, Duke at 20, Florida State at 21, Virginia Tech at 24. Clemson among those also receiving votes. They received 28 votes.
Virginia Tech got that big win against Clemson. They're in, Clemson's out. I think Florida State is the best team right now in the ACC. North Carolina with an unproven backcourt, talented, tremendous front court. Duke is so talented, but so young again. And Virginia has to find their defensive identity, and they need offensive help to go with Sam Hauser. Jay Huff has to step up as a redshirt senior, but they have a really nice freshman point guard in Reese Beekman.
Skylar Potter picked up a technical, so Hemingway at the free throw line. Now the 1-and-1, and Hemingway hits the first. Nine points today for the sophomore, 6 of them coming at the free throw line after Hemingway went scoreless the last 2 times out.
And Clemson averaging 66 points a game. If they can hit their average more often than not, their defense can win them a lot of games. They're only giving up 54 points. That's 4th in the country in scoring defense. And I don't think that number is going to change much in ACC action. May go up a little bit. But if the Tigers can hit that 65-plus mark, they're going to win a lot of games.
Morehead State has a little something in Skylar Potter. 18 now for the Wright State transfer. And what did Preston Spradlin, his head coach, tell us? You're going to watch this kid. He is an ACC-type talent.
Yeah, he mentioned that he had some ACC and SEC interest in recruiting, but nobody pulled the trigger. Morehead State.
5 threes today, 8 attempts.
And sometimes when guys transfer, they want to transfer up to show or prove that they could play at a higher level. But you want to play where your greatest opportunity is allowed.
Three fouls on Janai Broome. P.J. Hall, the freshman. He actually played with Morehead State's Talon Cooper in high school at Dorman High in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where they won some state titles together, because that's all Dorman does, Paul.
Yeah, they've won 4 straight championships. They also had a young man on that team by the name of Miles Tate, who went to Butler in the Big East. But Ryan Thomas, the head coach there, has done a fabulous job at Dorman, one of the best high school coaches in the country.
Inside, it's Broome. Talon Cooper, by the way, on the floor for Morehead State, wearing 55.
Little freshman on freshman that time. Broome did a nice job of sailing P.J. Hall to get that high-low. I'm telling you, Broome can be a terrific high-low threat in the OVC.
Honor's got 14.
He's looking for more.
He and Dawes have been lights out from the outside. Little hesitation by Trapp, but he carried. Final media timeout. Clemson just has to put the ribbon and wrapping paper on this one. Talon Cooper on the left, P.J. Hall on the right. Teammates at Dorman High School in Spartanburg, South Carolina, a little more than an hour away from Clemson, and state champions at Dorman.
Well, that team went 30-1 Dorman won 4 straight 5A championships under Thomas Ryan, the head coach.
PJ had some nice moments early in this game on both the offensive and defensive end. Final 3 minutes of this one. Clemson looking to go to 6-1 as we get a whistle.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. I think PJ Hall will play with Aamir Simms in the front court. Right now he gives them some good backup minutes. The young man from Dorman High School. What a team that was. Miles Tate went to Butler. Cooper in this game. They should be winning championships with 3 Division I players. But I think PJ Hall is going to be a fantastic player here at Clemson. I really do. His offense is much better than we'll see early in his career.
20-point game for Potter, who beats the defense down the floor. Aamir Simms, meanwhile, with his last rebound, now has his 6th career double-double. 12 points, 10 rebounds today.
And Clemson does a fantastic job of turning you over, falling into steals. They score a lot of points every game from their defense, and they're going to have to.
19 points off 19 Morehead State turnovers today.
And most of those points are unguarded. They're in transition, or there is an advantage down the floor. Those are points you need to make yourself feel good, where you don't have to grind it out every possession.
Offensive foul on KJ Hunt.
Al-Amir Dawes, just that last little step at the last second. And this is what they drill in practice every single day. It's the shell drill, where you help each other and then you help the helper.
This game was supposed to be played tomorrow, but after South Carolina had to postpone its contest with Clemson over the weekend, both teams agreed to move this game up to today. That's why you have the unique Monday noon start. We don't see that too often, especially at this juncture of the season. And it gives both teams a chance to send their players home. Morehead State doesn't return to action until after the new year when they play Murray State in conference. Florida State has more than a week off. Their next game isn't until next Tuesday against Florida State. So it gives some of these young men who have been on campus since July or August a chance to decompress. Good for the mental health. They can see their families for a few days before getting back to the basketball grind. And I think we all feel some of that, given how quarantined and alone we felt at times in this bizarre, surreal 2020 year.
I hope the kids get enough time to be home. There's been conversation that there should have been maybe a pause in college basketball, where guys have maybe 7 to 10 days. The whole country just shuts it down for 7 to 10 days. And there's Clemson with that strong, stifling defense. But some days, 4 or 5 days, are better than no days at all. The ability to go see family and friends and break away from the coaching staff. I mean, as well as these guys get along with each other, kids sometimes need to hear a different voice, be in a different location, and just have that variety in their life that's been missing. No fall break this year, which was usually 3 or 4 days. There's been no, obviously, summer trips. We know that Clemson went to Italy last year, did very well, and really started to push their team forward after that trip to Italy. They got a lot of good playing time. They won a gold medal. And none of those things happened this year, so it's just kind of show up on campus, stay there, travel, stay in a hotel. This break is much needed for everybody in college basketball.
We get a 30-second timeout by Clemson. Aamir Simms moments ago fouled out. A little bit of a 6-0 run here by the Morehead State Eagles. They've made 6 of their last 8. 1:40 to go in regulation. We showed you Clemson's upcoming schedule for Morehead State. Nice long layoff before they get back to action in Murray, Kentucky, January 2nd. then Tennessee Tech, Jacksonville State, Eastern Illinois, SIU, Edwardsville. That was Morehead State's last game, a close loss against SIUE.
I think Murray State and Belmont will be two of the favorites with Austin Peay and Preston Spradden right now coaching for that OVC. He's talking in the timeout about what they can do to continue to just chip away at this lead with a minute 40. They know that it's probably improbable to win the game, but what can they do in their press? What can they do in their next offensive possession? He's coaching for down the line for league play, and that's so important. A lot of coaches sometimes, you know, they don't understand the last couple of minutes of a game. Win or lose with a big spread, you can still get a lot of great teaching points in.
And for Spradlin, even though they've played 9 games, he is still trying to find the right mix with this roster. Take Davon Cooper, essentially a new player coming back. He was injured all of last year. You've got Janai Broom, a freshman, who's starting for you. Potter's a transfer. KJ Hunt is a transfer. Trying to figure out how the pieces fit. They have 20 turnovers today, but there are positives. 47% from the field, Paul, against one of the best defenses in the country.
And they're a very good rebounding team. They're top 3 or 4 in the OVC. They're plus on the glass. They do a really good job of blocking out, trying to limit their opponent to one shot. They got to be better in the block-out game when they play their zone defense. Now, this team will finish higher than their preseason ranking of 9 with the transfers and Broom inside. They've got enough to finish in the upper half.
Where do you see Clemson in the ACC, big picture?
To me, it all depends on their offensive game. Today, they shot the ball so well from the three-point line. It's going to be about offense for Clemson. As I said earlier, they average 66. They're at 64 right now. If they can hit their average, they're going to have a winning season in the ACC. They can finish, in my mind, their ceiling could be up to 4 or 5. I mean, I think they can finish that high because of their defense. Their offense, if it lets them down, you know, they can obviously slide down 8 or 9.
I just don't see
really
the top of the league, Paul. I just don't see the top of the league being as daunting as it's been in years past. I think there's going to be a chance for a Clemson and NC State, maybe even a Syracuse, somebody that we're, you know, maybe not expecting to be in that top 4, top 5. I'm with you. I just don't see the top of the league being that good this year.
Well, it's good. It's just not great like it's been in years past. And that NC State North Carolina game coming up is going to be great. The ability to turn people over by NC State, and North Carolina just continues to pound people in the paint and at the rim. They win games on second chance points and paint points. But NC State has the front court this year with Manny Bates and DJ Funderburk to hang with the Tar Heels up front. But you're right, I wouldn't be surprised to see any one of the 4 teams we mentioned, Duke, Carolina, Florida State, and Virginia, or somebody like an NC State sneaking in to win the ACC this year.
The lack of fans will impact games. There's no doubt. Going to Cameron, you're down 8 to 10 points before you take the floor because of the crazies. When you've got 30,000 people at Syracuse, or the Yum Center is rocking, or the Dean Dome is rocking, it's to me, when you lose some of that, I think you take away from a lot of those teams, and those are usually some of the better teams in the ACC. I think the lack of fans is going to have a significant impact on how some of these games play out in the conference. Road games now become so much less daunting.
There's no question about it. We had that graphic earlier of the upsets. You know, the low to mid majors winning against the high majors on the road. You don't see that in a normal season. Home court advantage at a lot of places. You say 8 to 10 at Cameron. I'm going to say it's 10 to 15 points, because when they get on a run and those fans get you at the foul line, just think you're shooting free throws at Cameron Indoor Stadium with no noise, no jumping up and down, no keys jiggling, no signs waving. I mean, it's a big difference. You can go in with some focus and concentration in any venue this year, in any power conference, and win a game.
And that's one of those arenas, if you've never been to Cameron Indoor, if you walk in when it's empty, your first feeling is, huh, that's it? It looks like a high school gym. But when you see it on TV and when you're there for a game, when it's packed and the students are loud and they're standing up and it is a nonstop cacophony of chaos, all of a sudden it feels claustrophobic. And it feels like, okay, however many, 6,000, 7,000 there may be, it feels like 70,000 and you can't breathe. It's that kind of feeling. But when you're in there without fans, it's actually a very underwhelming atmosphere.
And on the flip side, think about the Carrier Dome. How intimidating with 30-plus people.
Yeah.
And you have to play against that backdrop and the acoustics of the dome. Home court advantage out the window this season. It's a level playing field.
Clemson wins by an even 15. The Tigers do it with three-point shooting and defense. Clemson off to a 6-1